My name is Lisa Tam. I'm a senior lecturer at the business school at QUT. HS, Ryan, and I are all researchers in consumer behavior. So in this study, we try to identify how consumers in different market segments value different attributes of Australian fruit. We submitted our final report in June. So in this presentation, we will provide a snapshot of some of our findings. Before I start, I would like to acknowledge and thank the Future Food Systems and CRC and the New South Wales Department of Primary Industries for their financial support for this project. To provide you with some background information of our study, the latest report from ABS shows that vegetable and fruit products were the top two food groups with the greatest drops in consumption. So the average amount of fruit being consumed daily has reduced from 150 grams to 135 grams, and this continues to be below the recommended intake. So some news coverage has attributed this reduction to the cost of living crisis, price gouging by supermarkets, and also supermarkets' marketing promotion, preferencing unhealthy and ultra-processed foods. As consumption for fruit and vegetables decrease, there's also a significant increase in the consumption of unhealthy processed foods. And it is cheaper to buy unhealthy processed foods than healthy fruits and veggies. And because of this, there are calls for a comprehensive monitoring of food and beverage costs and their affordability in Australia. And there are calls for policy actions to improve affordability for healthy diets, especially for Australians experiencing socioeconomic hardships. And on the grower side, we found that there are also challenges. They sometimes have to supply fresh produce to supermarkets below cost. So morale is pretty low, and 30% of growers are considering leaving the industry. And the current supply chain disincentivizes growers to not produce crops which are high quality because there is no additional benefit for doing so. But if the quality of local produce decreases, the market can become susceptible to foreign imports, sorry. So through this project, we would like to provide some insights into understanding what drives fresh produce buying behaviors in Australia, so that we can enable growers to align their production and marketing strategies accordingly. Some parts of this study focus on cherries as a seasonal product and blueberries as a year-round product. So we took 3 steps. First, we completed an extensive review of industry and academic literature. Then we conducted 2 rounds of data collection, including an online survey with 739 Australians, and we did interviews with a selected sample of Australians, of 24 Australians. So first, I'll report the most significant findings that we made from the literature review. So we found that eating behaviors are repeated over time, so they're also developed over very long periods. As a result, people's decision-making about what fruit to eat and buy is an unconscious process. At the same time, fruits are a low-involvement product, meaning that people spend very little time thinking and researching about it. It's an automatic habitual behavior, but it is changeable over time. So there could be interventions that target habituation to break unhealthy eating habits and improving the healthy strength for healthy eating habits. But we know that merely highlighting the health benefits of fruits is not enough. There are a lot of things that need to be done. And current literature has identified this list of factors that affected fruit consumption behaviors, including availability and access to fruit, knowledge and familiarity with fruit, physiological factors such as hunger and thirst, taste preferences, cultural social and personal norms, as well as other cognitions, attitudes, and intentions. Another study also found that nutrition value from the fruit matters, fruit quality, special offers, brands, and sustainable attributes such as climate impact and food waste. But there are 2 points that I would like to highlight here. First, price does affect consumption. So industry reports from Hort Innovation show that sales for certain fruits go up in the months when prices are lower. But there are also times when people are willing to pay more for fruits. And there are some people who always pay more. Second, some research shows that people in lower socioeconomic areas buy less fruit because they cannot afford it. But some other studies argue that they buy less fruit because the fruit supply to their areas is of a low quality. So those fruits have bad appearances, indicating low quality. That's why they don't buy them. In Australia, socioeconomic status, gender, perceived health benefits, availability, and accessibility are among the top factors influencing consumption. And another study found that family life stages are influential. For example, the consumption patterns of singles and couples with kids could be very, very different. And some industry reports from Hort Innovation show that elderly people consume fruits the most. And lastly, because people in higher socioeconomic positions tend to have greater nutrition knowledge, they tend to eat more fruit. So our literature review has given us some baseline information about fruit consumption in Australia. And the data that we collected helped us develop further insights. So from our survey findings, we found that freshness, taste, and size are the top attributes for both blueberries and cherries. So they are the most valued attributes for consumers. And obviously, it is related to the appearance of fruits, and the appearance of fruits is an important indicator of quality. Second, we found that household size is a strong predictor of everything. So people in bigger households value health and indulgence benefits more. They buy more regularly, and they are willing to pay more for quality and locally grown fruits. The findings also show that people who are older are less willing to pay extra for quality or locally grown fruits. We also found that females value indulgence benefits more. That means that they value taste more than males. Young consumers are willing to pay more, and those with higher education value health benefits more. So based on these findings, we did cluster analysis and we found 3 segments of consumers. So cluster 1 consists of indifferent minimalists. They do not particularly value health or indulgence benefits, and they are more likely to be males with smaller household sizes and lower levels of regular purchases. They don't care about storm atmosphere. They have less concerns about health, and they're not as supportive for locally grown products. The second cluster is indulgence-driven consumers. So they prioritize taste and convenience over health. And the third cluster is the biggest cluster from our survey. They are called the enthusiasts. They purchase blueberries and cherries regularly for both indulgence and health benefits. They tend to care about store atmosphere and they support locally grown fruits, meaning that they are willing to pay more. They also tend to have higher food involvement, so they care about the image that they buy. They watch cooking shows, and they are also the major buyers and consumers of food in their households. The interview findings offer additional insights. We found that consumers buy a variety of different fruits in each shop, depending on availability, taste, price, and expected expiry. They tend to regularly buy fruits that last longer, such as apples and oranges. So blueberries and cherries are not fruits that they buy regularly. And more importantly, these fruits are not always available anyway. And consumers associate price with the shops. So the interviewees believe that supermarkets like Woolies and Coles have higher markups than local greengrocers because of price gouging. But the fruits at the local greengrocers are actually more expensive. So they assume that the growers receive more money from the local greengrocers. So even though it costs more to buy from local greengrocers, some people still prefer to buy from local greengrocers. We also found that there are times when consumers pay more for fruits. For example, if they want the fruits to last longer for the kids' lunch boxes, they will pay more for longer lasting fruits. And if they have to pay more because they need to stick to a recipe, they will do that as well. Even though consumers do not know what farmers and the shops do behind the scenes, we found that perceptions of the shops and the farmers do affect how much they are willing to pay. So this is what we found from the interviews. Ideally, a good farmer should have extensive knowledge about farming to produce high quality produce. They should take good care of the land. They should make responsible use of chemicals and water. They should grow Australian grown fruits. So even if their workers are from overseas, their fruits should be grown here in Australia. They should use minimal packaging that is recyclable and compostable, but the packaging still needs to serve the purpose of protecting the fruits. They should shorten the distance from the farm to the point of sale, and they should dispose waste properly, such as donating fruits that they can't sell to Australians. And respondents generally reject fruits that are grown overseas, except for New Zealand, because they call New Zealand a sister country. And they reject overseas grown fruits for the following reasons. Distances negatively affect freshness and quality. They want to support local farmers. They have a fear of contamination due to X-ray and transportation. And they have skepticism about how the fruits were grown and handled because of the lack of regulations overseas. And lastly, a good supermarket or shop should sell high quality products at fair prices. They should store the fruits in a clean environment. They should store the fruits responsibly. So many of them mention the fruits need to be stored in a fridge. And they should dispose of waste responsibly, again, by donating to Australians. And the quotes from the interviewees show that they empathize with the farmers a lot because they have read in the news that big supermarkets have been ripping them off. So based on the findings, we made several recommendations. First, for products, of course, the appearances of the fruits always matter. But the packaging should also highlight certain attributes that consumers value, such as where it comes from. If it comes from a family farm, it's good to highlight that. If the fruit is grown in a place with a positive brand, like Coffs Harbour, it will also be beneficial to highlight that. And second, for price, the perceptions of fair prices can vary across consumers in different segments. So if a higher price is to be charged for a higher quality crop, then the packaging might need to highlight the additional benefits. And third, consumers do value buying from a good farmer and a good shop, and their perceptions of big supermarkets have been influenced by the news media. So they value having closer relationships with farmers. So they prefer buying from markets. And lastly, for promotion, we would like to highlight the importance of promoting food involvement. So people who have high food involvement are more involved in in all stages of food consumption, from acquisition to disposal. So if we are to run a campaign that promotes fruit consumption, then we would encourage people to think about creating a positive experience in all these stages of fruit consumption. And based on our findings, we recommend that future research examines how Australian farmers actually use market research like this to inform their decisions. And these are the references used in our presentation. Thank you very much.